everyone, Rhiannon Samuel here with Viante, New Mexico. Giving you one of my final updates for the legislative session as I am now back here in Albuquerque, and the session ended this past Thursday. It was a long 30 days. And the mood around the Roundhouse was a little bit different than what I saw back in 2019. 2019, there was this buzz of excitement, and I think it had to do with Governor Lujan Grisham just being elected to her position and more Democrats being in the House. And so people, particularly of that party, were very excited to get a lot done. But this time around, it was a little bit different. I felt like there was a little bit more fatigue, even from the onset. There was a lot to get done. It's supposed to be just a budgetary cycle for 30 days, but there were major things on the agenda, from marijuana, the red flag law, the opportunity scholarship. So they had quite a bit to work through. And in fact, there was over 700 just bills that were introduced during the session. That's not even including the resolutions, the memorials, all of those other things that they had to spend time on, and the confirmations of different cabinet secretaries. So there was some fighting, not only between the different parties, but also some infighting within a party that came out during different committee meetings. So this was a little bit of a hostile session. There was still a lot done, but you could get the sense sitting in the room that it was a little uncomfortable. And so Viante, as we do, we sit in those meetings, we take notes on what they're doing. And this year, as I explained in my last video, we did something a little bit differently. We had our priority bills. If you want more information on those, you can tune into our previous video. But as a very brief recap, within education, we had Senate Bill 96, that was the online school budget reporting. With crime, we had HB 156, that is the crime of illegally dismantling stolen vehicles. And then within quality of life, we had House Bill 44, that's the New Mexico Work and Save Act. So I am very, very pleased to report that 2 out of our 3 priority bills made it all the way through the finish line. They're just awaiting the governor's signature now. And it was neat to see that in some instances, lawmakers were talking amongst themselves, and it got back to me, that they knew that they were going to be scored by Viante on those bills, and so they voted for them. And to see that within just 2 years of us being in the Roundhouse, we have garnered that kind of influence. It means a lot, and it's really due to our membership, who is growing and really illustrates that we are grassroots. We are nonpartisan, and we are simply seeking out for our lawmakers to work together to fix our education, crime, and quality of life issues, and to show up for the job. I'll talk about our attendance score in a little bit, but I want to touch on a bill that I didn't mention so far in the updates, and that's the crime bill, House Bill 156. Unfortunately, it did not make it all the way through. And what really happened was it went all the way through the House unanimously, because both Republicans and Democrats saw that it was something that would fix our property crime in New Mexico. But unfortunately, it got to the Senate side and it died in Senate Judiciary. It was the second to the last day of the session. We were there. I, along with other community organizers and advocates, said that it would be good for our community, and we urged the support of the lawmakers to pass it along. And unfortunately, there was some concern about the language of the bill. It wasn't the heart of what the bill would accomplish, but a lawmaker thought that it would be confusing language. And as they started to get into the weeds of that a little bit more, they just simply ran out of time, and they had to go on to the floor, and that bill was tabled, and it didn't come back up again. So we're hopeful, Viante is hopeful, that they'll pick it back up next year, because we need to address that criminal pipeline that would have somebody being incentivized to steal something, knowing that someone would purchase it from them. Now, So it's good news. We'll end on good news. 2 out of our 3 made it all the way through, and we're really excited and hopeful that the governor will sign them. Please chime in with the governor, email her office, let her know that you would like her to sign HB 44 and Senate Bill 96, please. Now, what does it look like for Viante? So this is really where the work starts for us. Not that we weren't busy during the session, we certainly were, but now this is where we start combing through that 300 plus bills that touch on our metrics to come up with summaries, analyses, and the board, which is very bipartisan, who represents a variety of industries, will try and narrow that down to just 15 that impact our education, crime, and quality of life in our state, and would fix it in a common ground manner. It's a very rigorous process, very detailed oriented, and it takes some time. So you can expect to see our scorecard released sometime in May. We're trying to get it out before the primaries. And the primaries in New Mexico are June 2nd. So that way our members are able to use it to aid in their voting, to see who's showing up for the job and who is working together. Now, to that point, who is showing up for the job? So our attendance score, that is coming out next week. I'm getting the data in now. I'm doing some analyses on finding different trend lines, the different attendance scores for each chamber, party breakdown, all of that. I will release it to our members and to the news media next week. You can tune in. Please look at that. It's always fascinating to see who is and isn't there because, as one of our board members says, Dina, half of life is just showing up. So that's what half of their job is too. Well, to clarify, they're a volunteer legislature, so it's a volunteer position, but regardless, they want this seat. We're hopeful that they can show up and actually do it. Really, thank you to everyone who has been following along our updates. I continue to get different feedback from people every week who see them, and they say that they're really helpful. If you found this video helpful to you in understanding what actually happened in Santa Fe, or you're just a supporter of our work, thank you. Please share it with a friend. That way we can spread the word that, we don't have to fit into one bucket, whether it be Republicans or Democrats. And if you do, that's fine, but let's work together because that's the only way that our state is going to move forward. So thank you for following along, and let's get to work.